Hello everyone and welcome to Gurukul Online Learning Network. Today we are covering the topic Introduction to English Debating, and we are going more in depth into the types of motion. I am Aian Adib, and without further ado, let's get started. Now, if you have seen the progression, you would see that there has been a session on motions and their types already. Now, that session covered two types of motion. Today, we will cover three types of motion. So, in total, there are 5 types of motion that I will be covering. But remember, there may be a lot more types of motion that are present in a debate, and as you keep debating, you will learn them and know how to tackle them efficiently. But for now, we're just giving you some pointers as to what you should do to the basic types of motion that are given in a debate. Debate has basically a lot of motions due to the fact that this is completely a sport on which the motion is the most important, and on the motion is what you will debate on. So remember, motions are very important and you should understand what they represent, what is going on in the motion, and how to tackle them. So for the first type of motion that we have today, the motion of an actor. Now, example, this house as Turkey will increase relationships with China. Now, notice here there is the keyword as Turkey. Now, this is the actor in the debate. Since it specifically mentions Turkey, you cannot talk about any other country that is not Turkey. You cannot come up and say why America will increase their relationships with China or how Bangladesh will increase their relations with China. You can, however, come up and say how Turkey will be affected by this step that they are taking, and how America will affect, or how Turkey will be affected by America, or how China will be affected by Turkey. Now, remember, again, this is an actor, so you are the actor. If you're on the proposition, you're still going to talk about this motion from the viewpoint of Turkey, and if you're on the opposition, you will talk about this motion from the viewpoint of Turkey as well. Do not go any further than what the interest of Turkey will be or what the interest of other nations will be. Remember, this is as Turkey. You are Turkey, and you will think about what the most important aspects of your value are. Again, you cannot also come up and say that Turkey is a Hindu nation, because that's a blatant lie. Turkey is a secular nation, and as such, you have to also think from the perspective of Turkey. Again, Turkey may also have good relations with India or America, but America or India does not have a good relationship with China. So how this will affect Turkey is also for you to determine. So remember, you are Turkey. Do not think from anything other than Turkey's perspective on the motion. And I'm not saying this because Turkey is a common topic, but remember, actors are unique to their motions. So if a motion mentions someone other than Turkey, or even a specific person like Erdogan, remember, you are Erdogan and not Turkey as a whole. You are just the person. So remember that and play from that side. Now, think about what the actor would do. As Turkey, what do you think would be the most beneficial for them, and what do you think will be important to follow as to maintain or increase this relationship with China? Why, as Turkey, should we take these steps to make our relationships better with China? Why, or if you're in the opposition, why should we not make our relationships better with China? You could also give an alternative to who we should increase our relationships with, but that is also on the context of the debate. Typically, since this is talking about specifically the relationships with China, why do you think China is so important to Turkey? And why, if you're the opposition, is China not so important to Turkey, and why Turkey should consider other factors. Now, think if the action is feasible or not. You cannot come up and say that Turkey will provide 100 million euros to China as a sort of bribe to give and increase their relationships. Again, you cannot just come up and say that Turkey will send a lot of food rations and everything from their storage to give it to China and increase their relationships. You need to think from the perspective of Turkey and what they should do and what their main priorities should be. So remember, you are Turkey. You are not in a superficial world in which Turkey is the biggest power in the world. If it mentions in the motion that Turkey is the biggest power in the world, you can come up and say that, all right, Turkey will do this or that. But again, remember to be feasible and remember if it is possible in the first place. So remember to be feasible or remember if this is possible in the first place. Third, will the said action help or harm the actor? Again, this is a motion of an actor. You're thinking from the perspective of the actor. Is this action helping us or will this action harm us? Again, if you're the proposition, by the wording of this motion, you will obviously think about what will help Turkey. But you cannot come up and say that since America has a bad relationship with China, Turkey should go to China and take money from China and then pressure America, stuff like that. That is also feasible. That is a good way to increase IR relationships or build pressure on a country. But you should also remember that it may also backfire on Turkey. It may harm Turkey as well. But so you as Turkey cannot stab yourself in the back. You need to think about if this is important for Turkey or if this should be covered by Turkey and why Turkey should do it in the first place. So if you're the proposition, don't think about a notion that will be very harmful to Turkey, but like increase the relationships a little with China. You need to think about the best possible scenario in which Turkey will be the most profited by increasing their relationship with China. And from the opposition, you need to think about what's the biggest harm that Turkey will face and not bring up something that will decrease the ties a little with China, but help Turkey in the long run. Fourth motion, motion of value. This house believes that Usain Bolt is the greatest athlete in human history. Now, what is the value here? The greatest athlete in human history, GOAT. So, you need to remember that we are putting Usain Bolt into this arbitrary notion of value. Like, Usain Bolt is the greatest athlete in human history. Now, what do we mean by the greatest athlete in human history? You need to recognize where the burden lies. Again, you can characterize this motion such that the greatest athlete in human history is someone who is the greatest at running. You can come up and characterize that ever since Olympics has been started, the greatest athlete was someone who thrived in the Olympics. And this was the oldest sports in the world. So that's why Usain Bolt, by winning the running and gold medals in Olympics, is the greatest athlete in human history. But then again, there's also Michael Phelps, who has won a lot of gold medals. So even he could be the human athlete in human history, greatest athlete in human history. So you need to remember what criteria are you going to give to prove this argument. You cannot come up and say that, all right, the one who has won the most gold medals in Olympics is the greatest athlete in human history. Something that the opposition can bring up. This is something that the opposition can bring up because then they have something to talk about, because Michael Phelps is someone who has won more gold medals than Usain Bolt, so he should be the greatest athlete in human history. So you need to give certain criteria to prove why Usain Bolt in particular is the greatest athlete. So remember to give certain criteria or burdens that you will prove to show that Usain Bolt is the greatest athlete in human history. So you could frame it such that one, this criteria is why he is the best. Second criteria, third criteria. And if you prove all those criteria well, you will win the debate. And make sure to define the motion. So you cannot come up and say that the greatest athlete in human history is someone who was born in Jamaica and has won the most gold medals in Jamaica, from Jamaica. So that means you're saying that the greatest athlete is the best Jamaican athlete out there. That is not the greatest athlete in human history. You need to make sure that your motion is certainly defined to the point where it is broad and can be debated upon, and is broad enough that you can give your criteria, and if you prove those criteria, this will be proven. Now, fifth type of motion of regret or prefer. So this house regrets Trump presidency. Now, as mentioned, Trump was president of America for about 4 years or so, and this is something that this house regrets. This house can be someone you define, or this house can be someone you characterize. But for now, we need to think about why we regret the Trump presidency. Now, what will happen if the said event didn't happen? So you need to think, this house regrets Trump presidency. So as the proposition, you need to say why you regret this motion, and as the opposition, you need to say why you support this motion or support the Trump presidency. And if it's prefer, as the proposition, you need to think about why you support the Trump presidency, and as the opposition, you need to think about why you regret the Trump presidency. So usually this is something that has happened in the world already. You need to think about what has happened and what could have happened. So you need to think, if this didn't happen, if Trump never became the president, who would be the president? It would be Hillary Clinton. So Hillary Clinton's notions and beliefs, you can bring it into the debate and talk about why Hillary Clinton would have been a much better president than Trump as president. And from the opposition, you can say why no, Hillary Clinton was a far worse candidate than Trump in this presidency race. So again, since you're talking about an imaginary world, you need to show why your world is better. So in your propositions world, in which you're showing that Hillary Clinton was a better candidate, you need to show, after enacting Hillary's policies, why this would be much better. Now, you need to also remember, how is the said world better? Again, we don't know what the present would be if the said incident didn't occur. So you need to think about the scenario in which it did occur and what it would look like, and think about the best possible scenario. Again, don't forget the fact that there will be flaws in every single notion that you bring in. So remember, you need to prove why your world is better, and you need to show how your world is working out, and how the opposition's world is much worse than what could have been, what should have been, and how is it better? Show them the criteria in which it is better than the current world we live in. Now, always make sure to link the argument back to the motion. Linking back, this is very important, and make sure the arguments that you are providing links back to the motion. In the motion of value, you need to show why your arguments meet the criteria that you've set upon yourself to show that this will prove why Usain Bolt was the greatest athlete in the human history. And in the motion of regret or prefers, you need to come up and show why your world is better. And in the first one, you need to show why you as the actor have the bigger responsibility to do what needs to be done. And remember, link it back to the motion, and your arguments need to make sense. So what have we learned so far? We have learned about the types of motion and how to tackle them. In total, we have talked about 5 different motions and how to go around approaching them. Remember, these are not the only types of motion. There will be much more motions, and you will need to learn how to tackle them as you go on further. So remember that these motions are very important to the debate, and how you tackle them is how you will win the debate. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, share it with your friends, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below.